So guess where I am? Yeah, can you see that? Now, I know the last time we were together, I was talking about that car. It's a TR4. And I said, well, what a wonderful car that is. Maybe someday, maybe someday. Well, today's that day because I bought it. It's mine. Now, the TR4 is a wonderful car, and it was the first of a line of Triumphs that was much more enclosed, and the first where they had wind-up windows. It's a 4-cylinder car, which of course is quite economical, with 2 Stromberg carburetors that give it lots of terrific power, and most of all, it's the most marvelous thing to drive.
Now, when you buy a car from a place like this, you almost become family. And let me introduce you to the 2 people that made such a wonderful experience for me. Gary, he's on the right. He's the founder and the owner.
Gary is one of the real classic success stories, having become a major player in the world of Triumph parts and services. His business started with the Triumph TR4. You ready for this? He had in his back garden. On the day I popped in, I was lucky enough to meet Steve. He's family too, and he spent the day giving me a real insider's view. It all began when the poor sick TRs are brought back to life. It's the body shop.
So this particular 5 had been involved in a front end impact.
Oh my.
So a lot of the front balance in this corner was quite badly stoved in with impact damage. So first thing we did was we basically pulled the shell out. We took the body off the chassis and we put the chassis on our dedicated chassis jig, which is actually what it's bolted to now.
Wow.
And the theory of that is if the chassis is true and straight, it means then the body will fit back on and all the gaps will be nice. Often the gaps will be better than factory. Once you've got the chassis right, we've been building the body shell back on that chassis on the jig. So there's a lot of time that goes involved in getting the panel gaps right before you make the body work permanent.
Fantastic. It's sort of like the TR emergency room. Fantastic, I love it. Now, the TR4 is a very, very special car because it was a departure from the old line, much more open sports cars, where the doors are kind of swooped down, really. It was designed actually in Italy in the Michelotti studios. And one of the distinctive features of the TR4 is this wonderful little hump. Everybody loves it. But actually, it was for a reason, because when they put the engine together, and the carburetors stick up, so you couldn't put the top down properly, so that the hump actually is a practical feature, but it looks sensational. But coming around the side, you can see the beautiful spoked wheels that really is, well, it's a must-have. I mean, a few of them came with a disc-type wheel, but they call those knockoff or spin hubs, which I love. Now, what would buying a car like this be without looking at its engine, which is a joy to see? Now, let's have a look. So they open up from this side, go forward, which I always thought was really cool, revealing this, ta-da, there it is. Beautiful 4-cylinder engine. This was originally a tractor engine, is what they resourced these. But look at the detail. Everything in this is as fresh and beautifully restored as the day it rolled off the factory floor. It's just a thrill. I'm absolutely delighted. I could literally, and probably will, stare at this engine for the next hour. Now, I'm going to admit something, but please don't tell anybody. I'm having electronic ignition put in. The old distributor system had points and they're kind of old, and they do go, whereas an electronic system is completely and utterly reliable. And I intend to drive this car as much as I can. So forgive me for the sins I do, but I am putting electronic ignition in.
So, do you remember I mentioned that Gary put together a squad of TR pros? Well, follow me now to see him in action.
So we were just in the emergency room, now we're in rehab. This is where magic happens in assembling and maintaining these extraordinary cars.
Right, well, here we go. See that tool? He's using it to calibrate the electronic ignition and get the timing just right. That is real craftsmanship.
And there you have it, just like that. in here is something special. This is one of the several warehouses. I think there's probably at least 24 of these at any given point. A wonderful TR6. Remember, that was the first car that I got. I did buy another one here many years later, also in blue, by the way. Another TR6 here with a wonderful sort of fog lamps, which I think are really, really handsome. This green one here, this was the one I actually almost got instead of the white one. British Racing Green, a fantastic color. That's a TR4 as well. This one here is quite special because this was actually inspired by the rally cars of the day that were very popular in this gorgeous shade of blue. This is a TR4A, which was a later model. And you can see denoted by these fantastic side lights, which I love, and they made a slightly larger engine for the TR4, but they're really indistinguishable. And over here, needless to say, another fantastic specimen of a TR6. Which actually, if you look close, has this this mechanism here is mechanical, not electronic, but mechanical fuel injection, which was a headache. But that's okay. We still love them.
Before we left, I couldn't help but notice this little gem. I asked whose it was, and guess what? It was Steve's.
So we've got a 1967 Triumph Herald 1200 Estate, which originally made 38,000. So I came about this car a few years ago. Instantly I fell in love with it because I'd never seen one before because they're so rare. And I said to him, if you ever sell it, I would do anything. I just would love the opportunity to buy it. Sat on the sofa one night, having a glass of wine like you do, and came on the market, and it'd been on the market days. So I picked the phone up straight away. So I brought it. So I joined a social media group for an owners club, and I sat scrolling through the Facebook page, and a lovely lady called Diana put a photo up from the 90s saying, does anyone know where this car is? So straight away got straight in touch with her, say I've got a car, this is what I'm doing. She was delighted that I'd taken the car on and that I worked for TRGB. So she felt that the car was safe. And she's been sending me lots of photos of it covered in snow in the 90s. She's got a massive stack of history. We've kept in touch with the gentleman's agreement that if I ever sell it, I'll let her buy it back. You know, she's got a bit of rust, a bit of filler in her, but what Herald doesn't. So we reckon there's about 80 left on the road. So one of the 80 left on the road.
Well, it's been a fantastic day. I'm the happiest person alive, and I'm with my two pals. In fact, I feel like I'm a member of the family after all these years.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is the founder of this joint, Gary Bates, as I mentioned earlier. And how long have you been in business with this?
Oh, over 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
In fact, he was looking at the car a little bit earlier, and he said, you know, when you have 40 years, you know what to look for. And of course, Stephen, thank you so much for your help and everything. It's just, you've made a dream come true.
It's been a pleasure, thank you.
It's a pleasure. So from TRGB, I thank you, and I'm now ready to depart in my new car. So, see you later.
Fantastic.